Hiya folks, welcome back for another Fight Card Prediction. It's Will here. We're going to be breaking down UFC 199 from the Forum in Inglewood, California, as Luke Rockhold defends his UFC Middleweight title for the very first time as he faces off once again against Michael the Count Bisping. As always, you can come find me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. As always, you can please check out the guys down below in the drop down box who make great videos, great podcasts, my favourite ones out there, so please go and check that out. As always, please like, comment and subscribe. Tell me your picks for this card. Tell me some of your bets that you may like for some of this card. I'm going to be posting some of my bets in the drop down box the closer to the event it gets, so keep an eye on that. My UFC Fight Night 88 Almeida vs Garbrandt fight prediction video is out right now. It's 3 AM in the morning, so I was getting that out just a week before the fights came along. We've had a few changes with some guys coming in, some guys going out, so we're going to get straight into the card and get into it. We're going to start down the lightweight division as we have Dong Hyun Kim against Marco Polo Reyes. A pretty weak start to the pay-per-view, if I'm being honest with you. Both really low-level guys coming up through, especially in Polo Reyes, coming up through the Ultimate Fighter Latino America. Dong Hyun Kim coming in, and this is not the Dong Hyun Kim in the welterweight division, let's get that correct straight away. Coming into the UFC, lost his UFC debut, was pretty, he was in the fight against Dominick Steele, took a lot of shots in that one, and then he got taken out with a slam in round number 3. Steele's just kind of explosiveness and his raw kind of power that he has lifted him up and planted him down, and that was him out. Polo Reyes coming off a win over Cesar Arizmendia, took a lot of shots in that first round. I know he won in the first round very, very quickly, but he did take a lot of kind of shots. His defense isn't great. He leaves his kind of chin in there a little bit. He needs to tuck that chin, but I think he'll be kind of safe against a guy like Dong Hyun Kim here. Kim's going to try and go for the takedown, definitely. He did that against Dominick Steele. Steele was just a bigger guy, a big welterweight. And I think he went for it like 3 or 4 times. I watched that fight this afternoon, and he was just, Steele was having none of it and just kind of bossing everything. Limited striking. His probably bread and butter is trying maybe his jiu-jitsu and try and kind of control you down there, hit some maybe ground and pound on you. I think he will have the chance to do that here against Polo Reyes, because Reyes comes forward and he is a little bit wild and he gets off balance, and when he gets off balance, that's an opportunity for the takedown, or getting a little too aggressive with your back against the fence. My pick is going to be Polo Reyes. I just think he's a little bit more explosive, he has that bit more power. Kim, I think you can find his chin, so I'm going to go Polo Reyes. I'm going to go a decision for the first fight of the night. Middleweight division, King Kevin Casey facing off against Elvis Mutapcic. We'll start with Kevin Casey. Kind of weird fighter to watch. There's always something happening in his fights, whether he's finishing fights, whether he's getting poked in the eye. Some crazy shit always goes down in those fights. Got some big power, not much technique behind it. Comes forward, footwork is very kind of limited. He plants his feet, doesn't really move around too much. But if he does throw the right kind of punch and he lands, you could easily go to sleep, which we have seen in the past. I think it was against Bubba Bush that he kind of connected with in that one. It finished the fight. I know the fight got overturned. Gracie, I think he's a jiu-jitsu black belt of I think it's Hickson Gracie, if I remember right. So he's going to want to try and take this to the ground and look to use, I think, what will be his big advantage in this fight. If he can find a way to get it down there, I think he has a great chance of ending this fight with a submission down on the ground. Elvis Mutapcic, this is his second fight in UFC, coming down to his natural weight class after fighting up at 205 against Francimar Barroso in Boston, coming in late notice there, giving himself a pretty spirited performance. In all honesty, he was just a little bit outgunned against Barroso, and he was put against the cage, and he kind of took a few strikes. You could see that his cardio wasn't there, obviously, when the short notice. An all-around decent veteran. And I think if he can get past the first round, Casey's coming off a loss against Rafael Natal, I must admit. I must put that out there after his no contest against Carlos Jr. due to an eye poke. I think Mutapcic, the more he stays in this fight, the more chance he has to win. On a card where I look, and I don't see an awful lot of underdogs coming through. That's my thing I'm looking at now. I'm doing fairly well picking them out. I have a few for this weekend's card on Sunday for Fight Night 88, which I'm hoping come through. Collier's going to be one of them. Kamosi is going to be one of them. I think Elvis Mutapcic will definitely be the underdog in this one. And I think his toughness and ability to stay in the fight, as long as he stays off the ground, I think he can definitely win this fight. And I'm guessing he'll be the underdog. I'm going to go Elvis Mutapcic via decision. Maybe a late stoppage, depending how well Kevin Casey's cardio kind of sticks around. But my pick's going to be Mutapcic. Light heavyweight division with Jonathan Wilson against Luis Henrique de Silva. Frank Weiston coming in 10-0. Beat a lot of really kind of bad fighters over there in Brazil, and pretty much getting his chance here in the UFC with a victory over former UFC fighter Ildemar Alcantara. Was losing that fight pretty convincingly, and then uncaught a big shot and nailed him with it. Some of the things that I've seen, he likes to kick at range. When he is at range, he likes to kind of kick first to set up his strikes with his hands. Fairly limited when it comes to movement. He leaves his chin in there. I think he gets countered very, very easily. I don't think he's overly athletic. Can be kind of lumbersome sometimes, and just takes too many shots against really low guys. Some of the guys he fought before Alcantara, they'd had 2 fights and they'd lost both of them. He had that on 3 separate occasions when those previous 4 before Alcantara, where he just uncaught that shot and caught him with a good one. Jonathan Wilson won his UFC debut against Chris Dempsey. Very, very athletic fighter. Got some good speed about him as well. Some big power. Both guys are knockout artists. I think Wilson has 6, while De Silva has 10. I'm going to go Jonathan Wilson this one. I just think he's the more athletic, the more speedier fighter. I think he's just overall the better fighter, coming out of a better camp with Millennia MMA, with Lawrence Larkin, so he's been fighting guys who are fighting literally a week before he is, so he's got guys ready to go. My pick's going to be Jonathan Wilson. I'm going to go a first round knockout. I think he's just going to catch him with something. Great fight for the Fight Pass main event on here, and a fight I'm really going back and forward on. Sean Strickland against Tom Breese. We'll start with Tom Breese, a very much, over here in Europe and Britain especially, very much a hype prospect coming through, and a fight I've always been looking forward to seeing in the UFC since his Cage Warriors days, even further back than that. We'll start with his fight with Luis Dutra. Caught him with a nice combination out there in Brazil. Took a few shots which he shouldn't have really taken in that one, but still come away with the nice first round knockout. Then he went to Ireland and completely destroyed Cathal Penrith, and I think a lot of people knew what was kind of going to happen in that fight, and we've seen that his combinations were crisp, his footwork was very good. He was just out of the range of Cathal Penrith when he was throwing him, but when he was advancing forward, when Cathal had finished throwing, he was catching him with massive shots. Got the takeout there, the knockout there, and got himself a nice bonus. Now in his last fight in London against Keita Nakamura, he was expected to steamroll Nakamura, and I don't know if that was the kind of pressure of being the big underdog in that one. The big favourite in that one, I should say, and he didn't look great. He got taken down. There was positions, really bad decisions he was in against a veteran of the sport, nonetheless, in Nakamura. But he struggled through that one. Still got the victory. Still coming through with it. But he has a tough fight here against Sean Strickland, a guy I've really admired in the UFC, a guy who's his skills are always progressing. We're seeing now with his striking, it's coming forward. I think he's a very smart fighter. uses kind of all facets of the MMA game. He uses trips very well. When he clinches you, he exits with really nice shots against the cage. And just genuinely a smart fight. I thought he fought a great fight against Alex Garcia last time, and he got the knockout victory in that one. As I say, I'm really struggling to pick this one out. I can see Strickland wanting to maybe push Breese against the cage, initiate the takedowns with his trips, with his takedowns there. And I can see Breese wanting to keep it in the feet and occasionally maybe look for the takedown himself and take it down, because he is pretty dominant when it hits the ground as well. Very close fight. A pick'em fight, I think. I think I'm going to pick Sean Strickland. It's hard picking against Tom Breese, really hard. I think I'm going to go with Sean Strickland via decision. A very close split decision. I don't think there's going to be much in this. It'd be interesting to see the first round, who can get off the quicker start there. I think Breese needs to get off to a quick start in this one. I'm going to go Sean Strickland via a very close split decision. I won't be betting that fight in the slightest. Moving on. Cole Miller against Alex Caceres. This was a fight that BJ Penn was supposed to win. Cole Miller came in on short notice here to face BJ Penn, and I would have liked BJ Penn, I think, over Cole Miller. Alex Caceres coming in here on short notice. He beat Marcel Fulin last time. It looked pretty decent doing so. I don't think Fulin's a great fighter overall. Okay on the feet, kind of wings his punches a little bit. Kind of tricky when he gets in the ground here. Cole Miller's kind of the opposite. He uses his length, uses his length to keep the distance and initiate kind of clinches to get in there, and then when he gets to the ground, that's where his skills really come forward. A very tough guy when it hits the mat. I'm going to go Alex Caceres in this one. I just think it's another close fight where I just think he's a little bit faster. I think he can possibly stop the takedown. Yeah. Oh god, that's another tough one. Yeah, I'm going to go Alex Caceres in this one. I just think he can do enough. It'll be interesting to see what his cardio's like. First of all, oh god, this has really got me actually thinking now. You know what? I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to go with Cole Miller. I think he can find a way to get this to the ground, and I think his overall experience on the ground will lead to a very, very close split decision victory. But I am not confident in that pick whatsoever. I've been going back and forward on that one, but I'm going to kind of commit to Cole Miller via decision, split decision there. Jessica Penne against Jessica Andrade. I think this is a really good fight for Jessica Penne to come back to after the she got bludgeoned by Joanna Jędrzejczyk last time in Germany. I mean, she took some unbelievable shots, a lot of shots as well. I think she's very smart, taking nearly a year out before coming back. That's very, very savvy of her, I believe. Jessica Andrade coming off that loss to Raquel Pennington, moving up to the strawweight division, or moving down, I can't remember off the top of my head, where she's moving down, yeah, and she was a prospect I was kind of hyped about a little bit, but I think her skills are really starting to kind of wear out. Come forward, she kind of wings punches, very decent once it gets to the ground, but she has been submitted a couple of times. Marion Renault caught her, and obviously Rocky Pennington did. Jessica Penne, very crafty, being the veteran that she is with trips. When she gets into that position, she will use body locks to initiate takedowns to get down there, and once it hits the ground, she's very, very good on the ground. I can see Jessica Penne maybe catching Andrade here in a submission, so I'm going to go and pick Jessica Penne via submission in early round number 3. I think it's going to be a very close fight. Maybe 5-7 minutes is going to be back and forward, very close, but I think as the fight wears on, Jessica Penne experience and that'll come through, and she'll find a way to eke out the victory here. If she doesn't get the submission, I can see definitely a decision victory for her here. Next up, Beneil Dariush against James Vick. Great fight. I know my man Dan Levy is a huge admirer of James Vick, and James Vick is a very good guy. a very good guy to listen to talk about fights. Very, very educated on the fight game, and it's something that he clearly watches a lot of fights and he studies a lot of fights. He's very, very educated to listen to. Saw him fight a few weeks back in Las Vegas at 197. You could see there was a little bit of rust there, and against a tough opponent in Gleiko Franca, who I think I underestimated a little bit, but he showed, when I see him with my own eyes, he's a very tough guy. He's got a lot of improvements to do, and James Vick did the right thing. I thought he had a very good game plan using that amazing length that he has, and he threw some lovely flying knees in that one, caught Franca with some great shots, and he's getting a big step up in competition here, because I think Dariush is still predominantly a top 10 fighter in that lightweight division. He just made a simple mistake last time against Michael Chiesa, and he got punished for it pretty much. He won that first round very easily. He's got some really nice leg kicks, some nice strikes with his left hand. He jumps in and hits you with a few shots. He goes to the body quite well, and then he kind of changes up, goes to the body head, but he starts off kind of with leg kicks. That's his kind of, when he's at range, that's his striking preference. I still think that Dariush is a talent, and I still think he will win and he'll beat some good guys in this division. James Vick, I think I keep hearing every fighter's got to take a loss, like Cody Garbrandt and this and that. I think this is the time for possibly James Vick to take that loss and learn more about the fight game, go back and reevaluate his skills and what he needs to change in that. I just think Dariush is just a little bit further ahead. I could be completely wrong in that one. I know I think I can see a lot of people betting on James Vick. I can see him being an underdog, but I like Beneil Dariush overall. I think he's just a little bit better right now. Another year, James Vick could be definitely ahead of him. Not selling that guy short in the slightest, but I'm going to pick Beneil Dariush. I don't think he finishes James Vick. I think he just kind of outstrikes him if he can get inside that reach and hurt him from there. I like Beneil Dariush for a decision. Featherweight division. Brian Ortega gets his kind of big name opponent and kind of Clay Guida here. He beat Diego Brandao. I didn't think it was a great performance from him, but he found a way to win that fight, and he found a way to get a stoppage, which really impressed me. The guy is just a wizard when it hits the ground. He transitions very easily from submission to submission and moves. He's always looking for limbs to keep to get a hold of. Striking is something that needs to progress. I think it's getting there, but it's definitely a work in progress. Clay Guida, I think, is definitely on the downturn of his career. Fighting out of Team Alpha Male now, so he's had a decent training camp, probably with Cody Garbrandt training with him. Got submitted last time out against Thiago Tavares. I think Brian Ortega can find a submission here. I think Clay Guida's going to want to look for a takedown, and that's going to work its way straight into like a triangle from Brian Ortega, and he's going to tap out. I just don't see him really wanting to fuck around with Ortega on the ground, because I think he can lock up your guillotines, your triangles, your rear naked chokes very, very quickly. I like Brian Ortega. I'm going to go with a second round submission for T-City here in that one. So moving on to the main card. A pretty decent main card. 2 or 3 fights I'm looking forward to. We're starting off with a great fight. Dustin the Diamond Poirier against King Bobby Green. Bobby Green feels like it's been a long time since we've seen this guy, nearly 18 months since his last loss to Edson Barboza. Decent overall fight, a good striker, really good speed, good movement, in and out, good footwork. Not the biggest power, but he's definitely got something there where he can, if he checks your chin, you could be hurt from it. I just think he's running into the wrong guy at the wrong time, and especially coming back after a layoff in Dustin Poirier, because Poirier has been styling on people in the lightweight division and looked fantastic doing so. This guy was a top 5 featherweight before he came up to lightweight. I think he is definitely a top 5 lightweight in my opinion, but I am a fan of his, so that might be the fan in me talking. Last time out against Joseph Duffy, it was a tough fight. He got beat up, his nose got busted up, but he showed his grappling, just his evolution. He's got that berserker style striking where he can go a little bit wild and he can engage in the feet a little bit, which is something I don't think he has to do. Since he came to that division, KO of Carlos Diego Ferreira, great fight, great finish. Then he knocked out Yancy Medeiros with a barrage of really big strikes. And then Duffy used that grappling to stay away from the striking of Duffy. I know he took some shots, but he just showed he's a veteran of the sport and used his other skill set to win the fight. I just think I don't see where Bobby Green really hurts him here. I think Bobby Green's going to want to hit and get back, hit and just not engage at all. And Dustin Poirier will find a way to possibly put him against the cage, take him down and get that takedown, look for his submissions, which he has got great submissions as well. Can I see him finishing Bobby Green? No, but I can see him winning every round. I can see this being a pretty dominant 30-27 for Dustin Poirier. Middleweight division, Dan Henderson against Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard moving up to 185 after that loss to Neil Magny. This guy is a one-round fighter. We saw that against Neil Magny. I was screaming at the TV to finish him. It probably should have been stopped. Steve Pierceville is the worst ref, I think, ever in the UFC. Horrible ref. Neil Magny took damage which he shouldn't have, and then Hector Lombard took it even worse after that. Dan Henderson, I think this is the last time we see him in the UFC. I'm not going to beat around the bush in this one too long. I'm going to pick Hector Lombard. I think his speed is just going to be a little bit too much for Dan Henderson early, and I think he could catch the chin of Dan Henderson and knock him out here. Henderson might come out and use the wrestling. I don't think that'll really do much with Hector Lombard's judo. Hector Lombard, for me, I'm going to go a first round knockout for Lombard there. Featherweight division, Max Holloway against Ricardo Lamas. Interesting matchup. I think this one could be a close fight because Lamas is definitely a tough fighter at the 145 pound weight division. When this fight came out, I thought Holloway should win this one. He should win it fairly easily. I think it'll be a competitive fight, but Holloway can win. And then when I watched the tape on Lamas, I thought there's definitely some things here he can do to possibly put Max Holloway in some trouble in this one. Lamas coming off that victory over Diego Sanchez in Mexico back in November. Diego Sanchez had no right being down at 145, and he showed him that, and Diego Sanchez will never be back near 145. He beat him up pretty badly, busted him up with leg kicks, won that fight very easily. The one thing I was thinking about as well, that Max Holloway, he's never really faced a true wrestler since Dennis Bermudez, and that's the kind of fighter I think excuse me, the kind of fighter I think can trouble Max Holloway. We've seen Conor McGregor take Max Holloway down and control him down there. If Conor McGregor can do that, I firmly believe that Ricardo Lamas can do that also. So that's something I think we have to keep in mind here, that he hasn't really faced too many wrestlers, straight out wrestlers, since Dennis Bermudez. He lost that fight, probably should have won that fight in all honesty, but I think that's going to be Lamas' game plan. Try and somehow keep him against the cage, keep him down there, and maybe just lay on him for 3 rounds. Do I think Max Holloway's overall fight game, with all his skills striking to jiu-jitsu to his grappling, I do. I think he's a step ahead of Ricardo Lamas, but I just think this fight, I think if you're betting on Ricardo Lamas in this fight, I don't think that's a bad bet at all, because I think he can definitely trouble Max Holloway here. I can see this being close. I can see Lamas taking a round off Holloway here, but I just think Holloway is just a little bit too well rounded, and he can do enough to get the victory here. I'm going to go Max Holloway, but I can see it being a very close decision, but my pick will be Max Holloway. Co-main event, main event, the second main event, we have the trilogy fight between Dominick Cruz and Urijah Faber. A fight which is years in the making. These guys, I think it was 148, 132 when they first fought, and then 148 when they were supposed to have that trilogy fight. And here we're at 199, and they're finally going to get this trilogy fight. I'm a staunch Urijah Faber fan, have been for many years, but I just don't see how he beats Dominick Cruz here, because I think Urijah Faber has been going downhill a little bit. I thought he struggled a lot against Frankie Sean's last time out. He's a tough guy to face in that division, in all honesty, and I think that he will beat some guys. We've seen that he beat Alcantara in the past, so he's a tough fight. We know Urijah Faber is pretty decent everywhere. Good, he's got a really good guillotine choke. If you get caught in that, you're in trouble. We've seen him drop Dominick Cruz in the first fight a couple of times. He was getting in and out in that one and knocking Cruz down in the exchanges through there. But Dominick Cruz, last time out against TJ Dillashaw in his comeback fight from another injury, he looked phenomenal, and the angles. If you've got a chance to watch, there's a video, I think it's on YouTube, where the fight is slowed down. It's like double the amount of time. It's 50 odd minutes. It's a lot of watching, but it's slowed down. And you can see the footwork and the angles of Dominick Cruz is unbelievable. He was getting in and out and where Dillashaw was throwing, and he was already out before Dillashaw's fist was even coming by his head. Unbelievable footwork, unbelievable angles. Pitter-patter striking that's going to win you rounds. And we need to remember that Dominick Cruz is predominantly a wrestler, so we could see that in this one here where he'll engage in the feet and then go in for the takedown and take Faber down. I would love to see Urijah Faber become a UFC champion. Do I think it happens? No, I just think that Cruz is a little bit ahead of him at the second right now, and he will ride out a decision victory here and win and defend his title once again. So my pick will be Dominick Cruz. I can see this being a 49-46 victory for the Dominator. Excuse me. Ooh. And the main event of the night, Luke Rockhold faces off against Michael the Count Bisping in a rematch from about 18 months ago down in Australia, where it was competitive for the first round. Michael Bisping says when they went back to the corners that you could see in the face of Luke Rockhold that he was, oh shit, what's going on here? Came out, hit him with a high kick, and then submitted him with a one-arm guillotine. This was supposed to be Chris Weidman. Wasn't really too fond of that matchup. I thought Weidman shouldn't really have got the rematch straight away. Kind of happy. I've never been the biggest Michael Bisping fan. I never will be. He has done a lot for European MMA, for the UK MMA scene. He's done so much, so you have to give the guy uber respect. Plus, he's on a 3-fight win streak. Beat CB Holloway, who was ranked at the time. Beat Talis Leites in a fight I saw in my own eyes. It was very, very close. He could have lost that fight. A lot of people gave that fight to Talis Leites. I thought Bisping just done enough. And then he beat Anderson Silva in London this year in a fight which I thought if Anderson Silva just did more, he would win that fight easily. And he kind of just... to be fair, Bisping came out with a great game plan. Hit him with shots. He dropped him. And then... he got dropped himself, and then he continued to win the fight. I thought Anderson had to push. If Anderson pushed, he was winning that fight. Didn't do that. Bisping used the jab and the movement. Quality boxing that he has. Great cardio, unbelievable cardio has Michael Bisping. But I just don't see anywhere he beats Luke Rockhold here, except for talking to him, because he puts Luke Rockhold in his place every time. Actually quite fun to watch how pissed off Luke Rockhold gets here for that. But my pick... it's going to have to be Luke Rockhold. I think we've seen his last two fights with Machida. He got on top and he just beat the shit out of him. Weidman made that mistake. He got on top and he leathered the shit out of Chris Weidman. I think he's just going to catch Michael Bisping with something. I can see it going a little bit later this time. I'm going to go a third round submission victory for Luke Rockhold, and he will defend his title and probably move on to face Yoel Romero later on this year. So that's my picks for UFC 199 from California. I will be back for UFC Ottawa, Wonderboy versus Rory McDonald. Great fight, some good fights on there. Joanne Calderwood is back, one of my all-time favourites. Just good fights throughout that fight card, and then we're moving on to UFC 200. 3 fight cards. I will be getting fight cards out for that, for all 3 cards, so keep an eye out for that. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Please like, thumbs up, comment and subscribe if you can. I'm looking for more subscribers, so come and help a brother out. As always, support the guys down below me. I will see you soon for that fight card. Check out Almeida Garbrandt as well, and enjoy the fights when they come around, guys.